Good evening to all. I am Vishwanath Sir, Assistant Sir, Department of Commerce and Management. On behalf of Dr. NSAM FGC, I would like to welcome Professor Raghavendra R, Principal, Dr. Shanti Iyer, Advisor, Professor Bhavya KR, IQAC Coordinator and Head of the Department of Commerce and Management. I also would like to welcome Head of the Department of our college and all my counterpartners of our college. And this is the time to welcome all the participants of different institutions, colleges, universities. In connection with yesterday's session done by Dr. Sapna from Christ University, has given great and qualitative lecture on transformative research for more societal impact. It means the impact of the qualitative transformative research must be measured on the basis of its own aspiration to categorize societal changes for sustainability. Assessment schemes for transformative research thus includes not only academic quality criteria, but also new forms of measuring societal impact. Transformative research approaches and innovative methods of assuring their scientific quality are being developed. This is done in cooperation with the leading national and international institutions in the field of transdisciplinary sustainable research. Transformative research contributes to solving societal problems and is characterized by an expected aspiration to get involved. The aim is to catalyze process of change and to actively involve stakeholders in the research process. In this way, transformative research generates societal robust knowledge needed for sustainability transitions. So this is what yesterday Dr. Sapna Madam has given lecture. Today, we have Dr. Triveni P from Rama Institute of Management. I'm very happy to introduce today's resource person, Dr. Triveni P. Dr. Triveni P has an experience of 27 years, which includes 3 years in corporate and 24 years in academics. Presently, heads the Ramaya BCIC Center for Excellence and was previously heading the Department of Finance and BFSI. At Rama Institute of Management, passionate about teaching finance and uses innovative and NLP teaching techniques in her teaching. And she has trained corporates, entrepreneurs, teachers, and students on life skill through NLP techniques, finance topics, and honor research. And she has been working on several research and consulting assignments for corporates. She has organized and conducted national and international conferences, faculty development programs, business conclaves, panel discussion, and workshop at Institute. And also she is a recipient of accredited management teacher certificate awarded by All India Management Association and recipient of Nation Builder Award 2017 awarded by AIBKMS for her dedicated services as an educationist for 20 years plus years. Recipient of Well-Lead Women Achievers Award 2018 as Award of Excellence Education for the year 2017-18. Madam, we are happy to have today's resource person. So thank you so much. Over to Dr. Trivedi, Madam.
Thank you. Yeah, can I share my screen now? Yeah. Hello. Hello. Can I share my screen?
Yes, madam, you can share, please.
Yes. Okay. Can I participate? Can I interact with the participants? I just wanted to know about it.
They can use chat box only, madam. Participants can use chat box. If you need, you can interact. If anybody is willing to speak, no problem. But
okay, because I just wanted to check if I can chat with them, talk with them. Okay. Yes.
one by one can speak, no problem. But
Okay.
the subject
Okay.
condition is there should be in a remote place where we don't have any disturbances.
Okay, fine. Yeah. I see some messages already. Yeah. Good afternoon, good evening to all of you. Hope all of you are doing fine, and I'm sure you have started off with your research journey. And it is wonderful to be in this platform and to meet all of you. And let us get into understanding what is it that we are working on, or what is it that we are trying to relate with in research as a step ahead. I'm sure yesterday Dr. Sapna would have given you a very good insight about what is the need for research, and that too how your perspective should be in today's competitive world. Can I get some response even in the chat box? If it is, that's good. What do you understand by review of literature? Before I start my session, I just want one or two people or some of you to respond. What do you understand by review of literature? Yeah. Can I get some response from some of you? I'm just looking into the chat box. Whatever strikes into your mind, you can just put it across. And we also talk about, say, something on theoretical framework. What do you mean by theoretical framework? Yeah, I see Mr. Rahul writing gap for new research. And Pujari Nisha is writing study the research work, which is already done earlier. Yes, very good. So Dr. Annapurna writes ROL is understanding the work already done. And Tanuja says conceptual model. Yes, yes, I see many of you responding. It's wonderful. Okay. Why do you think is a research of review of literature required? Yes. Finding scope for further studies, overview of previously published resources. Thanks a lot. I'm seeing wonderful audience here, and very good response from each one of you. It's wonderful. Let's go ahead. Let's understand this review of literature. Before we start with this concept of review of literature, I would like to ask you a question. I want you to give me answer, straight answer. Let's see. If you're planning to go for an holiday, okay, imagine if you're working in college or if you're working in your office, they just announce you a holiday for 10 days and they say, we will sponsor you a holiday for 10 days. You can plan it anytime after 10 days from today, you can go for a 10 days vacation. We will sponsor you with your whole holiday package. What will be your position at that point of time? What will be your feeling? I'm sure all of you will feel happy. Yes. Yes, I see some of you, some of them responding to my first question yet. My next question to you is, if your organization gives you permission to take off for 10 days and go for a vacation, what will be your feeling, first and foremost? Feeling good factor, yes, that's very nice. And anything else that you feel? I want you all to participate to understand better. You are already in a relaxing mode. That's very nice, Madhuri. I want you to be more relaxed. Yes, that's nice. Very nice. Okay, all said and done. All said and done, that's nice. The institute is willing to sponsor you. The big question now is, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Any response? Any response from some of you? Okay, Matthew says he wants to go for his native. Remember, Matthew, it's a wonderful opportunity. You don't have to plan. You don't have to shell out money from your pocket. Your expenses will be taken care by your institute. Okay, some of them are writing some greenery place. Some of them are writing some destination which they dreamt of. Okay, but now if you have to book, what is it that you will be starting to do? What are the things that you're going to do now? If you have to start booking the tickets for your location, wherever you want to go, for the venue which you want to go, will you simply get into railways and just start booking, or will you think about going somewhere else and start looking into the airways and then start booking? Will you just start doing it? And what is it that you will have to do now? How do you go ahead? Places which not seen, choice of location, compare the fare, location and reviews on it. All that you're doing is nothing but it's a review. But it is called as review of literature when we do research. All that you're going to do if you're planning for a vacation outside is nothing but review and research. Okay, that is exactly what is research about. And that is exactly what is review is all about. So when you're planning a research, what are you supposed to do? See, I said a holiday, a destination that you have to plan. And once you know the destination, what is important for you? Many of you have responded, choice of location. You will have 4 places. Then you will do some research to understand which location is better in this season. Okay, somebody says, don't go there. Oh, that place is fully crowded at this point of time. Don't go to rainy place. Go to a place where there's some warmth also. Go to some such kind of suggestions will start coming up. So what are you going to do there is nothing but research. And how are you going to do this research is through review. And what are you going to review there? You will start reviewing. Where will you review? You'll go for Google reviews, of course. Even if you want to buy one small thing for yourself, you will go for Google review and check what is the review. Okay. So this is nothing but review of whatever is your want. In the same way, when a researcher plans to research on a particular topic, he has to again do some review. What is this review that he has to do? Okay, can you respond? So now I'm sure many of you have said, what is the review that you're going to do now? Okay, for example, if you're going for your vacation, you just find out who are your friends, your close friends circle, you go to them, just chat in that group and say, hey guys, I want to go for 10 days. Let me know which place is good. Let me know which was the place which you visited. Or you just know one of your friends has just visited Europe and come back, and you just start messaging to him or her and say, tell me what are the details about visiting Europe. I want to go for that. So you will try to find out what is it that your friends have been doing, what others have been doing in that particular area. So exactly, that is what you're going to do in review of literature. You first decide a topic or an area that you want to work on. Once you know what is the topic that you want to work on, you try to understand what are the things that people have worked in your area that you are planning to research on. So you will try to find out, suppose you say you have decided to go to Europe, then you'll find out how many people have visited Europe of late. You'll go to YouTube, look at the YouTube channel where people have presented about foreign trips, or you go to so many other channels and try to find out who has visited Europe, what is it that they have shared, what are the tips that they are giving. You get into Instagram, try to find out what are the tips. Okay, so research gap is something Pujari Nisha is writing. I'm sorry, Nisha, I'm using your first name. Okay, Nisha is writing this. So Nisha Gopal is writing this. So what I would like to talk about is what exactly is this review of literature today? I'm sure now you all have the background why we have to understand about review of literature. Okay, we'll go ahead with this. So what exactly is review of literature? Many of you are aware of this purpose of review of literature. What is review of literature? So it is one of the most important steps in any research process that you're going to work upon. Any research that you think about, I'm sure all of you will be going through. I'm sure many of you are faculty here. Many of you are researchers here. If you're faculty and if you're working for an institution, everybody will be going through the same pressure of publication. You have to publish in Scopus, you have to publish in UGC care journals or something like that. So if you have to publish there, your quality of research should be excellent and should be of very high quality. Only then your papers will get accepted. To get to that level, what is important is your review of literature. So review of literature is very, very important in any research that you're going to do. And what is it that we do in review of literature? All of you have answered. It is nothing but going through what is already existing about a concept that you are going to work upon. And what is the main purpose of the research review of literature? It's to exactly convey the readers about what work is already done. Remember, why we are talking about review of literature. If you're writing a research thesis or if you're writing a research paper, you write any research article, there is a reference that you have to give for what are the research that is being conducted earlier. So anybody who is reading your thesis, anybody who's reading your research article should know what are the references that has been taken care of, what are the various reviews that you have done in your research work. So the reader of your research should know what are the previous reviews that you have worked upon. That is why review of literature is very, very important. So when we talk about review of literature, there are few questions which is there, which I would like to answer here. What is the current state of knowledge on the question that I will be addressing? I said the question is, which place are you planning to go for your holiday? What did you do? You immediately, I'm just telling, you immediately message to your friends and try to find out where they have gone. And you have also tried to address some of your close family members, talk to them and find out where they went for a holiday recently. So this is the question. The question for you is, going for a holiday destination is a question. So that question, how are you going to study? How are you going to evaluate? And when you are doing this, remember, you have to develop an argument for a new study. So what is an argument for a new study? Suppose your friend says, go to Europe, don't go to UK, don't go to London. Of course, Europe, in Europe, UK, London comes under the European country, but he'll say, when you go there, don't go to UK, don't go to London. You'll say, why not? Then somebody will say, go to Netherlands. That's the best place. You have to be there. Then they'll say, why only Netherlands? So there is an argument that is coming up. So this is the thought process that should be in your mind when you're doing a research. Okay, I'm giving you a simple example only because with this you can relate with your research topic very easily. That is why I gave you a simple example like this. So any research that you're planning, for example, if I'm studying about the market fluctuations, you'll say, why should I study this market fluctuations? Okay, market fluctuations of the stock market. In the stock market, you can get into, or you can get into the customer's perception about a product. Why am I studying about this? So take any concept that you're planning to work about, or take any research that you're planning to work on. You should know what are the arguments that you can develop around your study. And that argument should be leading to a new study. It should be giving you some new concept. Research means you have to come up with some different concept in the process of your research activity. So there is something that is known as, for example, I have put one question here. What are the factors that predict compassion, satisfaction, burnout, and satisfaction at work? So I may say it's only environment factor, but somebody will say, no, it's not environment factor. It's something else. It may be the atmosphere with which I'm working. It may be something about the social factor. It may be something about the governance, or either of these concepts you can keep talking about. Argumentative decisions or argumentative thought process should be leading to a good research. So whenever you are selected a research question, be sure that your question can lead to some new study. Okay. Now, whenever we do review of literature, I'm just getting directly into the review of literature part. There is a funnel of review of literature. I'm sure many of our friends here have completed their doctorates. They would have definitely gone through this funnel. To be very frank, when I started doing my PhD, it was a very, very tough task for me, because the issue that I was talking about was on actuarial valuation. When I took about actuarial valuation and I was trying to connect it with financial cost benefit analysis, I found a real tough time because I couldn't find many research being conducted in the concept or under the heading actuarial valuation. It was really a tough job for me. There was very minimum review of literature I could get, but I still had to do that. So what I did, I took the matter into a broad issue. I took into a broad issue and studied the background. So when I say actuarial valuation, I'm sure all of you are aware that is basically used in the insurance industry. It is also used in A&M industry, asset and liability, ALM industry, asset liability management companies. Okay, all these companies use this actuarial services. So basically, insurance product is developed by an actuary. So when an actuary develops a product, he works on various dimensions of the product. So that is something that I had to look into. What is the broad issue? So the broad issue I looked into is, what is insurance? What are the different types of insurance products? How are these insurance products being sold? So that is the background, the broader issue. Why customers are buying insurance? What is it that they want out of this? I'm relating to my research to make you understand it better. I hope it doesn't come as a hindrance, or you shouldn't think I'm restricting only to few topics, but I'm trying to make it easier for you to understand. Okay, so when I say broad issue, whatever is my idea was to do an actuarial valuation and to understand the cost benefit aspects about insurance products. But to understand that, I had to cover a broader area. So I looked into the broad issues and also the background of my study. Once I knew this, I started getting into the theme of my research. What was my main theme? My main theme was to understand how actuarial valuation is done. Once I knew how actuarial valuation is done, then I would go ahead with understanding what would be the cost to a customer or to a person who is buying insurance, and what would be his benefit when he buys this insurance. So what is the theme of my research? I try to relate it with the broader issue. Okay, so once I know what is the broad issue, then I can come down towards the theme. And after I come down towards the theme, I come down to the direct relevance. So when I say direct relevance, what out of all the studies that I have done has a direct relevance to my study? What is it that is having a direct impact on my research? So this is something which is very important for all of you when you do a review of literature. You should know the funnel of the review of literature. What are the broader issues? You have to look into it. You have to look into the themes of the theme or the theme of the research that you are planning to work on. And you also should know what are the direct relevance of this study that you're going to do about. Another thing is, there is also one more slide which will talk to you about the 4 stages. Okay, how this, I'll just go to the next one. There are 4 stages which is very important when you're talking about review of literature. How do you start with your review of literature? So information search, when you do, whenever you're looking into beginning your review of literature, remember, I don't know whether people have looked into this. There are research articles which exclusively known as review of literature articles. A research article worked or developed only to understand various review of literature. So whenever you're writing your thesis, you have to write a review of literature in such a way that it itself becomes a kind of a research paper. For example, we have different types of review of literature. Meta-analysis is one of the form of review of literature. When we do meta-analysis, this meta-analysis itself becomes one research paper. You can present that as a paper. You can publish that also. See, again, the plagiarism issues will come, but when you give the citations, that will be taken care of. Okay. So whenever we are planning to start our review of literature, you should be clear about the problem formulation. What is the subject? What is the topic or area that is being reviewed? What are its component issues? So when I say planning for a holiday destination, the topic is holiday destination. What are you reviewing? It should be for a period of 10 days. Okay. And you should also know what are the various component issues that you have to handle over there. So you can mention a lot of component issues in that. I'm sure many of you will be understanding. Yes, Nisha, I'll be explaining the types of literature review as well. We'll look into it. I hope the time permits for me on that as well. So what is the main component issues that we have? We have to look into that. Then we talk about literature search. What are the materials which will give me the data which I require to my topic? So if I'm planning for a holiday destination, I will be clicking into who are the travel agents, who are the various travel agents. I may log into Thomas Cook, I may log into some other holiday planners and try to SOTC. I will try to find out who are giving me better details about my holiday plan. And then I do data evaluation. When I say data evaluation, here I'm determining what exactly is giving me the data that I'm looking for. There is a lot of information clutter that comes up, but exactly what I'm looking for is the data about which holiday package is good for me for 10 days. Okay, that is something that I have to work on. So this is nothing but data evaluation. I have to evaluate what is important for me. So 10 days, Europe is what I've screened on. So I have to look at European plan. Okay. Then what is the analysis and interpretation that I'll be doing? So when I say analysis and interpretation, after studying all the review of literature, I will conclude with only a few points. I will take only one or two which is screened down and I'll say only these two is making sense. All others are not making sense for me. So this is something which is known as 4-stage review of literature. Any review of literature that you're doing, you should remember this 4-stage. One is the problem formulation. You have to know what is your literature search that you're working on and what is the data evaluation out of all the literatures that you have and what are the analysis and interpretation of your review that you have done. So these things is what you have to write in your review of literature. When you're writing a review of literature, normally as students, when we ask them to write, they'll just collect the abstracts from here, from there, from here, and they'll just put it and they'll put the author and they'll say which year it was published. No, that is not what is called as review of literature. So review of literature is writing about what all searches you have done and put it in a problem format, putting it into a literature search format, putting all the data, okay, about from where you have got it. That is what is known as review of literature. I'll be showing you, if time permits, I'll be showing you one review of literature as an article which has been published, or I will share it with the resource, with the organizers. They will share it further with you. Okay. You can also Google on it. You will find a lot of review of literature articles which you can go through. Okay. Let's go ahead. And there are a few pointers or checklists that you have to ask yourself whenever you're planning to do a review of literature. Look at this checklist. Whenever you're writing your review of literature, these are the questions you have to ask yourself. These questions will give you, it will be a thought-provoking question, or this itself will give you a clarity about what are you planning to work upon. Okay, so look at this. The questions like how widely, deeply have you read this subject area? So let me talk about my study. I'm giving you this reference only because it's easy for me to relate it. When I was planning to work on actuarial valuation, for a minute I was shocked because this actuarial course itself is a new course for me at that point of time. I did it in 2004 when I registered for my PhD. I was discussing with my guide. So she said, work on actuarial valuation. And I got fascinated with the title because actuary was something new and I was keen on knowing about it and all that. Then I realized I didn't know much on actuaries and how will I work on this? So how widely, deeply have you read about this subject area? So that means I realized I had not read anything. So I had to read now about this area. Okay, I had to read a lot about this area. Have the key seminal text being mentioned? Normally, when I'm reading about some actuarial valuation, I will check what are the references mentioned there and go back to that reference and do, that's known as lateral reading. So lateral reading I do so that I'll know what are the seminal texts that's been mentioned in that, and I'm able to relate with it. Has there been critical engagement with the literature? So I have to check whether there is any critical questions or not in that literature. And also you should know whenever you're writing your literature, you should be there should be some opinions coming out of it, or there should be some commentary on the literature. You should be able to write some comments, or you should be able to write the opinion of the author in that article that's been there. And also you should know, do you agree with that, with what the literature is saying? You should be questioning that. Whatever you're reading, is it okay or not? Do you agree or you don't agree? These kind of things should be running in your mind. To what extent is the text adequately referenced? Very important. So whenever you're writing your thesis, whenever you're writing your research article, whatever referencing you have put, mind it. Because a thorough researcher, a reviewer will be looking back at your references and go back to those papers and try to refer and find out whether there is any relevance with that article that has been written or related with that. So it's important whether adequate referencing has been done or not. So whenever you're writing a review of literature, check whether your referencing tools are correct or not, or use some software support which will be helping you to do the referencing easily. And also you should know, you should write your separate list of references, check in your review whether there is a separate list of references or not, or are there enough of recent references done. Very important thing, which all majority of the researchers will be missing out is, they say reference. So reference can be done, not, see, today you're in 2023. If you're referring a paper which was written in 1993, there is a huge gap. There is a very huge gap. So go to, whenever you're doing any review of literature, go to, as far as possible, very recent articles. Collect recent articles, collect recent notes, or recent books. Okay, that's why whenever we're using textbooks, they say go for the latest edition. So recent articles is something that you have to focus on, and recent references is very important for you. And how do you do the searches when you're going in? Okay, I will skip the search part right away. Let's look at review of literature, the types of information that you can look at. Okay, when I said when you're writing, you have to find out what are the types of information. I'll go to the Boolean search later on. We'll just discuss this and then I'll get back. And as Nisha was asking, I'll show you a special article which will tell you about different forms of review of literature. So there are primary sources from which you can really do the review of literature. One is the journal articles. You can refer to Scopus Index, or you can refer to EBSCO, you can refer to Google Scholar, various places where you get journal articles. You can go to books. From books also you'll be getting some important review of literatures, the literature that you're looking for. There you're just getting some data about the title that you want to work on. And also you can refer to previous thesis which has already been worked on, and you will get some detail about what the researcher is planning to work on. This is primary sources. Secondary source, why you may need to use it. First and foremost, try to find out why you want to use the secondary source. What is the secondary source? It is nothing but summary and critique of primary studies. Some people would have already done some review and they would have presented that. That is the summary and critique. And some would have done some literature reviews already, reading those literature review articles or integrative reviews. Okay, these are the things that you'll be doing when you're doing secondary source. And also, sometimes when you're doing this secondary source analysis, you will be doing it to understand the concept. It will be called as conceptual analysis. What exactly has been given in that concept? What is it that they have been talking about? And also, secondary source will give you an in-depth analysis of a problem that you're planning to work on. Sometimes, when you look only into the primary source will be a direct reference to the title on which you want to work on. But when you look at secondary source, it will give you some more clarity. It will give you some conceptual understanding and helps you in analyzing it conceptually. And also it will be helping you in understanding the depth of the study that is being done. Where do you get all this kind of researchers? I'm sure all of you know. I don't want to talk on this. Government legislations. This is one thing which many of us don't look into, because books chapter we all refer to. Electronic database is something which all of us will be looking into. Journal articles, all of us know about it. Conference papers, we know about it. Encyclopedia, when the title is something new, we look into it. We look into research reports, we look into magazines. But one thing which many of us miss on is, because I have seen even my students, when they have worked on their PhD thesis, they are missed on going back to the government references. What are the government legislations? What are the various policies? For example, recently I was working on ease of doing business. When we were working on ease of doing business, I was trying to find out what are the various concepts, what are the various legal governance that's been imposed on them. And I was trying to find out, there is one concept which people were talking about under ease of doing business. When foreigners want to come to India to do business, Karnataka is ranked just around 64 or 65 in the ranking of ease of doing business. Andhra is ranked, Andhra is ranked number 1. Why? Okay. We were trying to analyze this. So when we were trying to analyze this, the government policies there, the state government policies there are different. The state government policies here are different. The processes there are different. The processes here are different. Okay. So you have to look at what is the government legislations that is being guiding on your research topic. That is something that you have to be aware of. And whenever you do this, you have to record your data, whatever you are reading about. I'm talking about the process of review of literature. I'm just looking into the time because we have to cover about theoretical framework as well. So whenever I'm doing research, I should know the right database from where I'm getting the research, the data that I want to look into. What are the bibliography, annotated bibliography that I'm going to get? I need to code my studies based on the theme, based on the historical or geographical organizations. I will be showing you data. I'll be showing you one format which will help you to understand how you have to do your review of literature. So what are the literature review protocols, literature review matrices? I'll be showing you that. Just 1 minute. I'll be sharing with you one Excel sheet which will help you understand how you can be working on review of literature. Okay. I'll be sharing this with you. There is one, I'm sure many of you have worked on this, but this is a very comprehensive review of literature. You can have a look of this format. Hope all of you can see my screen. Can you just give me a thumbs up in the message if you can see this? Yes? Yeah. Okay. Look at this. This is about full bibliography. This is a format. I'll be sharing this with you. You can also use this. Full bibliography. That means here we are talking about who is the author, the year in which it's written, the title, the publisher, etc. About the article that you are referring. What is the year of publication? Example 2016. Institution or the school of the author. Whoever is the author, will write from which school he is. Griffith University. Country or origin, state. So he may be an Australian, so he's from Australia. So what is it that he's been working on will come up in the process. Look at this. Here I write about, okay, media type. From where have I got this data? I write about if it's a book, I will write about the book. If it's an ebook, I'll write about the ebook. If it is an audio visual, remember nowadays we have various sources for data. So you can't miss out any of the source. If it is audio visual, suppose you are hearing something only on, say, Audible, you are aware, Amazon Audible, or if you are hearing it on Spotify, that may also be referred to as a review of literature. You have to give credit to that. It may be from a web page, or it may be through a DVD which you have been watching. Okay. Normally HBR comes out with few DVDs. I'm sure now they have moved ahead, but I have referred to few DVDs on few topics. So I have to mention that. Then comes the journal. If it's a journal, mention about the journal that you have been using. Podcast, yes. So any podcast that you have referred, you can add that as well. Okay, that becomes the media type from where you have got your data. Then you have to write about the literature type. What is the literature type? Is it a original research article that you are referring to, or is it a research review article? So research review, just like already a review of research is being done, and that article, whether it's a research article, see, there is a difference here. Please watch out the difference. Original research article, write what is the original research article, brief about that. Here you can mention. Is it a research review article? Please mention about it. Or is it a case study that you have been referring to as a review? Okay. Or is it a literature review, overall literature review, which is done on one particular title that you're working on? Or is it a book review, which is given you a reference point? Or it can be a book chapter from where you got some points. Or it can be a conference paper, which has given you some insights. Or it can be a practitioner article, a newspaper or a magazine article, which is giving you some lead on your research. So do mention that source here very clearly, because if you don't mention that, you will be caught up badly in your plagiarism test. Okay, plagiarism pass, you have to pass that. Then, of course, when you have done a lot of study on all this type of article, the main thing that you have to do now is what is the theoretical framework or what is the theorist that is coming out of this work, whether it's a grounded theory, whether it's a feminist theory. I'm just giving you examples. So you can write various type of theory. So framework used, and if applicable, the key theory, the theory is being tested or applied in the research. Whatever article you have referred, they would have used some theories in their research. So mention about it, what kind of theory it is. I'm just giving you two references here, two headings. You can create your own heading, what kind of theory it is. Okay. Then what are the emergent themes based on your review of literature? You have to mention about this. So this is something which is based on what our friends were talking about in the chat, gap analysis. This may inform part of your gap analysis, okay, and future direction of study. After you have studied all this, you'll be able to think about, oh, this is okay up to here, but something much could be done in this area. So that gives you the gap analysis, and it will give you some direction to study further. And here is a point where you will identify the themes on which you have to work, and you will realize there are not much of literature on that. So not too many people have worked on this area. Normally, when you refer a thesis, they would have mentioned, of course, here you can write a thesis as well. Okay, research review can become a thesis review as well. So, for example, in your thesis, you will write scope for further study. So when you write scope for further study, that is a kind of a gap that you can identify. And if that scope for further study is of your interest, you can take it ahead. You can add it for your research gap. Okay. When you're doing this review of literature, when you're filling this Excel sheet, please remember whatever article you are studying, find out what research methodology they have adopted. Okay. And indicate it, whether it is qualitative, whether it is quantitative, whether they have used case study method, whether they have used mixed method, okay, whether it's only an empirical study, whether it's only an observation. So you have to mention this. Now I'm giving you choices here. You have to enter this. Any questions on this? Anybody? Any question on this? Yeah, can I proceed? No response. Hope all of you are active. Empirical study is a different form of research wherein you take a case and you start analyzing. We'll discuss on that comes under research, types of research. Okay. So now, once you are clear with this, the next thing is important for you. What are the results of the research paper that you have analyzed? Okay, key outcomes of the research of the paper that you have analyzed. You have to highlight this. Why you have to highlight this is, this gives you clarity of what that paper has been worked upon. What is it that they have planned to work on? So key results of paper and key outcomes of the research, whichever is being referred to or whichever research article you've been reviewing, please mention that in detail here. Okay. Then analysis of the results. Okay, statistics or data. What kind of statistics they have used? What is the kind of data? Whether it's primary data, whether it's secondary data, how have they analyzed? Highlight about it. Okay, a review of literature will be more comprehensive when you highlight all this, and it will become easier for you to plan your research, and it will be easier for you to close your research questions easily, or to frame your research questions also, to frame your theoretical framework. It becomes very easy when you note down on all these points. Another thing is limitation of research. What is the limitation of research either of this paper had? So is it the size of the study which was limited? Is it the length of the study? It is the nature of research, location of research. So whatever research review you are doing, please note the limitations of the research approach that is being used here. Finally, you come out with your synopsis. You write one sentence overview of the paper. Whatever paper you have reviewed, write overall summary about that paper. This is how you can do your review of literature. Okay, when you put all this in your review, it becomes easier for you to analyze it. Any questions on this? Any questions on this? Yes, I can also, is there anybody here feeling that this is a very comprehensive format? Do you feel it's very comprehensive? It's too tedious to fill in? Or do you feel it's okay? Okay, I don't get any response. It's okay. Okay. See, if you do this kind of review, it becomes easier for you to close your studies. Okay, now let me share a very simple format with you as well. I have another format which is quite simple. I want to share that with you. I will share that with you. Just a minute. This format helps you to look into the research in a different way. You know, this is very, very simple one. Yeah, please, this is shared by Walden University. Okay, I had referred this because I wanted to get one simple format. That's why I use this format. I'll just open that. This is a very simple format which normally many of us would have used. Many of us would have used this because I also tried to use this, but off late I'm using the comprehensive format. Look at this. Who's the author? You record the author. This is known as literature review matrix template, where I record about the author and the date when the article is being published. Can you see my screen, all of you? Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So here I'm writing about the theoretical framework or the conceptual framework, which has been highlighted in that research. Then I write about the research question and the hypothesis that is being asked or that is being focused. That this is very important because this gives the direction for your research, for that research article. So I will evaluate that. Then I look at the research methodology that has been adopted in the paper or in that research. What is the analysis and results of that particular paper? What are the conclusions written in that paper? What are the implications for further study? Okay, so they may mention this scope for future study is mentioned. So you will write, you look into that. And what are the implications for practice? Okay, they might have indicated what is it that we all can practice out of this research. So this is a simpler format which is there. But I feel when you get into the comprehensive format, it will be easier for you to collect back the data or recollect or connect with the data easily. You will know from where it is being coming up. Okay, I'll stop sharing this. I can share this with your organizers. They can send it across to you. Okay. Another thing that you have to know, you should know, very important thing whenever you're doing the search, know your topic very well. Identify the keywords for searching, and review results will come only based on the keywords that you pick. and also you have to evaluate what amongst the data that is there is useful for you. Without you evaluating, you'll not be able to read all those articles that's coming up under that keywords. Okay, that is what I was referring to when we talk about Boolean search. So how do we do this search? I'm falling short of time. I'll just run through this quickly. See, what we have to do here is you can use and, or, and not. For example, travel destination, Europe, and I will say in Europe, I don't want to miss Austria. Austria is one of the best places, so I don't want to miss Austria. Somebody said Netherlands is good, so I don't want to miss Netherlands. So I will and, or, this, or. So whenever I'm putting my search, I have to use this combination of words, and not to combine search terms. So these are the things, these are all available on net. So Boolean operators are there. If I wanted to connect it and show it to you, but now with the short fall of time, I'm not going into that in detail. So these are the terms that you can be using. Another thing that you have to now do is, once you have searched all this, you have to start writing, preparing your literature review. You have to write. There are various tools which will help you to write your review of literature. Please, if you have not used it, start using Zotero or Mendeley. Zotero also is available up to 200 GB. I think you can use it free. Mendeley also is freely available. You can start using it. For example, any article that you are trying to study, collect all the article, put it into the software. Okay? Citing these articles becomes easy. And whenever you're writing your research review of literature, giving the citations will become very, very easy when you use these softwares. These two are easy here in India. I'm giving you that. EndNote is there. Research referencing tools are there. You can use that. And 3 elements that you have to know about when you're writing your thing is, you have to give an introduction. So you should know what is the search strategy that you're going to work on, what is the body that you're going to work on, what is the gap or conflict that you have to work on when you're writing your review of literature. And what are the points to be considered during conducting your review of literature is, be very specific, be selective, what kind of words you're going to use. And as far as possible, connect it with the current topics. And also, know about what are the various sources of evidences from where you'll be getting the data. Then you should also know about the evidences, the contrary evidences, reference citations, all these things. Avoid abbreviations whenever you're doing your search. And you should also use accurate sentence structure to do a thorough review of literature. There is something known as critic criteria. So sometimes, many people will have these concepts as one of the main criteria to do the review of literature searches. So you should know whether it's primary or secondary sources, whether you're going in for conceptual ideas or whether you're going for variable reviews. So you can use the review of literature based on each variable that you're working on, based on each concept that you're working on. Also, you can work on the gap that you want to identify. Okay, so I'll just quickly move on. I will skip this. I will just show the types of review of literature. I have not put this into my slide. I have an article here, which is a very good article, which I would like to share with you. Just a minute, give me time. I will be sharing that article with you, which will give you complete idea about how review of literature is done. Okay, the different types of review of literature. So this article is good enough for you to understand what are the types of review of literature that is there. I have just downloaded it so that you could use it at a later point of time is what I thought. I'll share this with you. So there are different types of literature reviews which people can do. One is argumentative review. So when we do argumentative review, what happens here is this examines literature in different selective ways, and this will be addressing few arguments or few assumptions or some standpoints which is there philosophically in your mind. And this is a very good way of doing a review of literature, wherein, this will be helping you to develop some alternative viewpoints on a topic that you're planning to work on. There is something known as integrative review. In this type of literature review, this is done normally to come out with new frameworks. And also this type of literature review is known as addressing some specific questions, or it helps you in identifying the right research area that you want to work on, and it will help you to develop your hypothesis in a better way. This is known as integrative review. Another thing is historical review. I'm sure the word itself explains how many people have worked on this kind of topic and what is it that they have come out. What are the various approaches that's been changing over a period of time? People were saying TV will be the only media. Now people have come out with watching movies on their phone, watching movies in their watch. Okay, so historical reviews are coming up. And then we talk about methodological reviews. So when we do this, we go in a very systematic way of review. So there are different methods of finding out few areas wherein we are exploring what is the main methodology that is being adopted in a particular study. And systematic review, normally people stick on to the systematic review, and we talk about theoretical review. So this is one more review which people will be working on. And for us as researchers, we normally stick to this systematic review and theoretical review commonly in all our research. Okay, so this is about an article, and I'll just get back and talk to you a bit about how to work on theoretical framework, how to develop theoretical framework or conceptual framework. Mr. Vishwanath, can I talk a bit about this? Do I have 5 more minutes?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Please carry on, madam.
Okay. So whenever we're talking about theoretical framework becomes a very base for any research that we are working on, because this gives us the conceptual understanding about our research. Okay. And it helps us in identifying the interrelationships among the concepts. In the sense, we can say it gives us a logical connect between our variables and study that we are planning to work on. This theoretical framework is helpful because it gives us a rationale for our study. In the sense, it will help us to connect between the various variables that is being identified for our study. That's why theoretical framework is very important in any research. Even in a research article, when you're writing a research article, do mention what is your theoretical framework. A theoretical framework leads for your research questions, helps you to connect with your research question, or helps you to develop your research question. That's why theoretical framework is very important. And here, when you are making a theoretical framework, you'll be referring back to various theories that has been there. And what is important when theory is being referred to is, you will look at what are the variables that is being there in various researches. Suppose I have done 100 paper review, I'll see what are the various variables that's being used in the studies. And then I will understand what variable is appropriate for my study. And when I'm doing this, I should also be able to identify which is my independent variable, okay, which is my dependent variable, and which is my mediating variable, or I can say moderate variable in my study, and which are my variables which is controllable. So all these things is something which a theoretical framework is going to give you about. Okay, so when you study all these various reviews of literature, you will be clear with the theory, and this theory helps you understand what are various variables that can be used for your study, for your research. And whenever I'm talking about this theories, this theories helps you formulate your statement of problem for your study. And it also helps you to identify what is the hypothesis. You know what hypothesis exactly is. Hypothesis gives you direction for your research. So what is the hypothesis that you can formulate for your study, and how you can design your research? Okay, and what kind of analysis you will have to develop for adopt for your study is something which you can easily understand when you have a thorough theoretical review done. And this theoretical review, with the help of which you will be able to test the theories, you'll be able to understand whether the theories are properly written. You see, when you read some 10 papers, you would have studied 10 hypotheses, 20 hypotheses, 30 hypotheses, and you'll know how people have adopted various researchers in their, what are the research methodology that they have adopted, what hypothesis testing tool has been used, and then you will know how they have looked into their variables, how are you able to formulate your research variables, and you will know which of your variables are independent, dependent. All that becomes easier when you do this theoretical review. So theoretical review is very important because it will help you to design your study in a proper way, and it will help you to explain to others what your main framework is all about. So whenever you are formulating your framework, it will give you a clarity as to how you can close all the loose ends in your study. Okay, so this is about critic criteria. So just one last slide where I say you'll have some theoretical clarity about your study when you have a theoretical framework. You will have theoretical complexity. I'm sorry, the time is very less. We can have an exclusive session on theoretical framework or conceptual framework, how we constitute a conceptual framework. That itself is a separate topic of its own. I was just asking Mr. Vishwanath, can we club both or should we have it independently? But he said, ma'am, at least you introduce about it, so I'm introducing about it. So theoretical framework is very important for any study. We'll discuss about it later. And there are a lot more which we can add in under review of literature. With the time given, yes, I have tried to do as far as possible the best that I could. I'm sure there is a lot more which could be added in this. Yeah, I'm open for queries if there are any. Please. If there are any questions, I'm open for it. You can reach me on my mobile, of course, and my email ID is triveni@msrm.org. I've not added it here. If you want to reach me, you can reach me out on this. Connect to me on LinkedIn. I'm definitely available on LinkedIn. It's Triveni P. So you can connect to me on LinkedIn. All of you are welcome. Yes.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes, and thanks. First of foremost, thanks to the management of NSAM. Thank you, madam, and thank you, sir, for the opportunity. Yes.
So, thank you so much, madam. It was a wonderful session. Really, we have understood. Research will be strong if we are strong in the research, view of literature and the theoretical framework. The quality of research, which is definitely depends upon the view of literature and the theoretical framework. Definitely, madam. Today you have given wonderful inputs. If any participant you have questions, still you can ask me, ask us. Definitely, madam will answer. So any questions? Kindly can ask us, please. I think no questions. Thank you. Yes.
So now I don't see any questions here in the chat box. I'm just seeing thank you. Yeah. Yes.
Vishwanath sir, there is a question in the chat box. How many years shall we
Years
take
shall
for
we-
reference?
Yeah, I saw that. Reference, see, you can keep doing, but you can't keep doing references for many years. You'll have to stop. You have to give a logical conclusion for your references. So you would have normally, I propose to my research scholars to work backwards from the date. Okay, suppose they are registering now. I say 2026 should be your deadline to submit your thesis. So how are you going to work backwards towards it? So that means you have to finish your review of literature within the next 1 year, 6 months to 1 year. So 1 year is the time when you can keep doing your review of literature, and also take for references, you can stop it at one point of time and then start working on your thesis writing or something like that. You can't keep doing it till the end. But of course, when times like COVID comes in, it is difficult. You may have to change your whole review of literature. So many of my students have changed their review again. They have worked on it again. That's it. Podcast and blog and opinion articles. Madam, it's reliability, of course, is questionable, but you can give a reference and say it is mentioned only in this. You can give a reference, no issue about it. Nowadays, this is being accepted. Even in foreign countries, they're accepting this kind of reviews. Yeah.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much, all of you. Still, if you have any questions, please quickly can ask. Otherwise, we can wind up. So,
Sir, somebody wants the person to get unmuted, sir. Vishwanath, sir. Amla
Unmuted.
Sen. Amla Sen wants
yes,
to get unmuted.
unmuted.
Please check the chat box.
Yes,
Vishwanath,
yes, madam. Unmuted.
Vishwanath, sir.
Madam, unmuted, madam.
Hello.
It has
Hello,
done.
Vishwanath, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, madam. Unmuted. Madam.
Yeah. Amla Sen. Yeah, please unmute Amla Sen. She is requesting to get unmuted. Please. Yeah.
Amla Sen, madam.
Amla Sen. Yeah.
Amla Sen.
Yeah.
Kindly can ask this question, please. Put it in the chat box question. Yes. Madam, there is one question, whether foreign reviews more refer or not? Asked by
No,
Nagajyoti.
there is no such restrictions on references. Please do foreign reviews. Depends on the title. For example, if you're doing a study in Indian market, so you may have to refer to Indian markets. And if you're doing a universal study, you can refer to foreign articles as well. You can refer to foreign articles. Suppose you're studying, you may study about mental health. So when you're studying about mental health, you may connect data from everywhere.
Any more questions? Thank you so much. So I think we can wind up. This is the time to say vote of thanks. I request Professor.
Okay, there are 2 questions in the chat box. I'll just look into that. I'll take those. If you would want the research paper to be published in Scopus, then the ROL, can you give one example, ma'am? I'm not understanding. Do you mean to say the article on review of literature, whether it can be published in Scopus? Yes, it is. Meta-analysis is one analysis where you can find a lot of research articles available. You can refer to that. Then what's the percentage of plagiarism, madam? So percentage of plagiarism is only 10%. Normally all foreign Scopus journals expect 10% at least. 10% is what they permit. Some of them are a little lenient, they go up to 20%. Can we review the article which is 10 years back but relevant to our study now? Yes, but if you don't find any any relevant articles of late recently, 10 years back, yes, you can do. but don't take too many references from there. You can read it for your knowledge. Yes.
Yes, still, if you have any questions, kindly you can use FTP group where you can send, because Madam also entered in the FTP group. Kindly, you can utilize FTP group and send any questions you have. Definitely, Madam, I will answer definitely. Am I right, Madam?
Yes, yes, I will definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all of you. Over to Bhavya, Madam.
Thank you, Vishwanath sir. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Dr. NSM First Aid College, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the resource person of today's session, Dr. Triveni ma'am, HOD Finance and BFSI, Ramaya Institute of Management. Ma'am, your session was wonderful. I think all the participants have got immense knowledge and inputs related to their area of their work. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and sharing your knowledge with all of us, ma'am. Thank you so much. My sincere thanks to all the participants for joining with us for day 2 session. We are looking forward for the same enthusiastic participation from all our participants in day 3 session. Thank you all once again. Have a great evening and see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all the participants. Thank you.